What is up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Personal Finance Boss. My name is Julian, and with me is Ali. And today we are going to be talking about
the RESPs.
Oh.
Which is a topic we've actually brought up, I think, a couple times on the show before. But we're finally going to get around to it. Especially because now, we turn the calendar year, so people are trying to work through their savings plans that they set out. So we can set that up. So the RESP, or the Registered Education Savings Plan, is actually a tool. I know I have notes this time. I came prepared, unlike someone.
Oh, I'm prepared.
Okay.
Did you have an RESP as a child?
Yes.
Okay, me too.
So there it goes. It's a tool for your children. So that's the one pitch.
It's a tool for the parents for their children.
Yes.
Because their children are too young to be aware of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Because you could start an RESP pretty much when the child is born, right?
Yeah.
Anytime after they're born.
Mm-hmm.
And so what is it and how does it work and what does it do and why should people consider RESPs?
Mm-hmm. So that's a lot of questions.
Well, I mean...
I know. Well...
all your notes on the paper.
The biggest thing it allows a parent to do is set money aside for the long term for their kids to attend any accredited post-secondary education school. So they can, when they're 18 or when they're 19 or whenever they finish high school, this will be a source of funds that they can use for their tuition, for their textbooks, to subsidize any kind of extracurricular activities they have. So it's just a tool there. The biggest benefit you get with the RESP is the Canada Education Savings Grant that are offered by the Government of Canada. And there are some provincial grants. So I know Quebec offers one. I think Alberta offers one as well. And Saskatchewan offers a provincial plan that gives you a little bit more than what the federal government gives you.
Okay, so in the case of the federal government, since it concerns everyone, what are those amounts and how does it work?
So you're allowed a lifetime contribution. The parent is allowed to put in lifetime principal of $50,000 from the time the kid is born to the time they attend a post-secondary institution.
So that's a maximum contribution of $50K.
Maximum contribution of $50K. And maximum matching grants. So you maximum matching grants of $7,200. And the way it works is the government will give you 20% of the first $2,500 you put in.
So essentially, every year the government will give you $500.
Yes.
If you put in $2,500.
Yes.
And if you put in less, they'll just give you 20% of that amount. So if you put in $2,000, they're going to give you $400. Yes. So if you say that they give them,
I actually have an example built up.
Yeah. So for the grants though, 7,200 is the max, right?
Yes.
So if we divide that by 500, that's 14.4 years of grant worth money that you can get from the government. Interesting that they choose 14.4 because normally this is for post high school / secondary education. So in Quebec we have CEGEP. In the rest of the world, you have university that starts right after high school because they're junior high. But
there's also, you're allowed for some vocational training, for some additional training.
Okay.
You can use it. It doesn't have to be just university.
Okay.
So there is some
if you go to like a trade school, right?
Yeah, I think you have to look it up on. We can go over that list, but it's very long of all the accredited institutions. But university, CEGEP, if you're in Quebec, those for sure. And majority of the programs in there will be covered by the RESP. You'll be allowed to take out money and use it for those programs.
For those wondering what CEGEP is, it's 2 to 3 years between high school and university for us Quebec folks.
Yes. So we don't have grade 12, we have grade 11, and then we do 2 years, and then we have...
So we have 13 years, essentially. We can do grade 12 and 13 in a new institution.
Yes.
That falls under the RESP savings plan, which is, I guess, better for us because we have 1 extra year where we can use that money.
No, because our university is 3 years.
Yeah, instead of 4.
Yeah.
But we have 5.
Yeah.
So we have an extra year.
Yeah.
Technically.
But that also means you have to spread your money over those 5 years.
Yes. But CEGEP usually is much like if you go to a public CEGEP, it's practically free to go there. So, anywho, okay, so
That's one benefit.
Yeah, for every 25, you get 500.
Yes.
From Canada, and then you said Quebec gave something.
Quebec gives 10% of the contributions to a max of $250 per year.
Okay, so 10%. So
$2,500.
If you put 25, then you get $250.
Yeah.
So all in all, you're getting 2,750.
No, well, you're getting $750 a year. If you do the 2,500.
Oh, sorry. Yes. Yeah.
If you do the 2,500, you'll get $750 a year if you're in Quebec.
Yeah.
If you're in Quebec. So
are there a max amount in Quebec?
Not.
Because I don't see that in your notes.
Not that I know of. Not that I know of. But it's a max of $250 per year.
Okay.
So it's 10% less than what the government of Canada matches you at.
It's half.
Yeah.
But you can put more money than you want in the current year. So if you put 25 and you want to put an extra 2,000, you still can put a total of 4,500 for a year. But you just won't get the grant, and the grant doesn't carry over for the following year.
Not that I know of.
So you have to re-put 2,500. So if you have a total of 5K, don't put it all in the same year. Spread it out over 2 years.
Yes. I think the other great benefit, which I think there's a lot of misguidance when it comes to the RESP. Not that many people know about it, and it's not something that stands out like the RRSP or the TFSA, like, oh, these are two accounts.
Yeah.
Probably because it has to do with your kids, and a lot of people sometimes are focused on how do I personally save taxes? How do I personally gain an upper hand? The RESP, any investment growth in it is not taxed until it's withdrawn by your kid.
So it's like an RRSP, but you don't get the tax credit when you put the money in the account.
So this is after-tax dollars funding the account, but all that investment growth for 18 years, all of that matching money on the growth there, all that growth is not taxed to you. When your child ultimately withdraws that money, you'll get something called an EAP, which is an education assistance payment, and it'll be basically that will be added to your child's T4.
Yeah.
But the premise is an 18-year-old isn't earning $50,000 a year. If they are, awesome job. But if they aren't, if they're earning $10,000, $15,000 from their summer job, and then they take out $5,000 from their RESP, they're going to be taxed on a gross income of $20,000. That's how it's going to work.
But also the rationale is most students aren't necessarily working, especially if they're living at home. And if you make less than about $11,000 or $12,000, you don't pay tax.
Yeah.
So I guess that's the rationale. They want to add that income onto the child's income so that they don't pay tax.
Yes. And all that principal that you put in, so let's say you put in the max of $50,000, you get to take out that principal tax-free. So there's no taxes on that. You get to take that out. And all that investment growth and all of the matching grants, those go to your child.
Yeah.
So you do get your money back. So just the interest and the growth goes to your kid.
The income.
Yeah,
because income. So like if you put in $1,000 and then when your child is ready to go to school and they pull out the $1,000, it's actually $1,500 because of a $500 growth of some sorts. You're only going to be taxed on the $500.
The child will.
Yeah, not on the $1,000 that you initially put in. So you're only taxed on the gains that you make in the account. Are you taxed on the grants?
Yeah, so if that grows...
No, but are you taxed on the initial...
Yeah, you're taxed on the grants at the end.
Okay.
At the end.
Wow.
Yeah, because they need to collect tax.
Unsurprising.
They need to collect tax revenue.
Oh my God. Here, we're gonna give you this money. We'll tax you on it later. There you go.
And
jeez.
I think I'm gonna go in with our example here because I set one up. So let's just assume we have just the Canadian grants coming in. If you put aside the max in of $2,500 per year for your child, starting when they're born till 18, you get the $500 match. It's a total of, at 5% interest, it's a total of $72,000, of which $28,000 is interest and $44,000 is principal. That's over 18 years.
$28,000 is interest?
$28,000 is interest, okay. $44,000 is principal.
Okay.
Then if we add that grant in, let's say we just did the 20, this was for, if we did 2,500 without the grant, that's how much would come out. You'd get 72,000, 28 interest, 44 principal. If we add the value of the grant, which is $500 per year, we're looking at a grand total then of $87,000. So the grant is adding an extra $15,000 for you. So if we just think about that, that is somewhere around, depending on how you invest, you're looking at about $15,000 that you could potentially be reaping from the government.
At 5%.
At 5%.
Because
at
the
5%.
Principal is up to $7,200.
Yeah, no, 72. Yeah, 7,200. Yeah,
lifetime income. You double
you double the matching grant. So I find it a great way. It allows you to kind of, if you're the type of parent that wants to help your child down
or
the
that
line,
expects your child to go to a post secondary education institution, then it's a good thing to do. If you're not sure, then what happens? If you take the grant money and then they don't go,
what happens?
To college or university or whatever.
So that's where it that's the trade-off basically. You don't lose the money, so you're able to take the principal out. There will be a penalty involved because you received all that grant money and all that tax deferral money. Yeah. So that principal will be taken out.
Well, what tax deferral do you get?
Because you're not, for 18 years, all that investment growth, all the grants that came in, if this were sitting in an unregistered account, it would be taxed.
I mean, if you invest in a stock and you don't sell, you don't get taxed, right?
Well, no, but the dividends and everything.
Yeah, the dividends.
You'd be taxed, right?
Yeah.
So, or if it was just sitting in a savings account, all the interest
would be taxed.
You'd be taxed. And ultimately, when you sell that stock, whatever capital gains you have, you will be taxed.
Yeah.
So at some point, the government will take their money.
Yeah.
So with the RESP, if your child ultimately doesn't end up going to school, you will have a chance to get that principal money back, but you will have to return the grant money, and you'll have to pay a penalty. I read somewhere it says about 20% of the value of the portfolio you'll have to pay.
The value of the portfolio?
The value of the portfolio.
The gains or the principal? Like the whole thing? The whole thing. Okay.
You'll have to pay 20% and return the grant money, but you will get your principal back. So not all is lost. You do have the option, though, if you have more than one child,
to transfer it over.
You can transfer it over.
Yeah.
And then the second kid kind of gets a little bonus, or the third kid. Or if you end up having a third kid and you said, hey, we actually didn't start an RESP for our third child, this is a way of transferring it over, and you don't have to tell him that you love the other two more than him or her. But you do have a way of getting around it. Yeah,
so that's one of the things to keep in mind when you do an RESP. I think that's what keeps a lot of people away from it compared to the RESP. I mean, the RRSP and the TFSA.
Yeah.
Because those two you save for retirement. Retirement is kind of mandatory.
Yeah.
Or most people want to retire and they think about it. But like higher education, it depends. Like not everyone thinks about it. And like my friend, Frank, who just had a kid. I don't know if he went to the bank to open up an RESP for him yet, but I will ask him.
And not all is lost. So if your child, let's say, finishes their high school, they're 18, they said, Mom and Dad, I want to travel for a little while. I want time to find myself, or I want to explore other avenues. They actually have about 30 years from that point to use that money in the RESP.
Okay.
So if they take 10 years off, work a little, travel a little, and then when they're 25 or 28, they say, I want to go back to school, I want to do this program, they can actually access that money.
Okay. What if they had $30,000 in the account and they only used $25,000? Then the remaining $5,000 is left over.
Usually the way it worked with mine is the plan would pay out based on what I submitted. So I said I was a full-time student studying at Concordia.
Yeah.
This was it. Based on that, they did a calculation that said, okay, this year's payment, the EAP, the Education Assistance Payment, is $7,000. Okay. The next year I said, I'm doing that. I'm doing summer courses. I'm doing these extra courses, and I did fall term, summer term, winter term. So they said, okay, now your education payment is $7,000. So from my experience, they paid out the sum that was in the plan. They paid that out over the course of my undergraduate degree.
Okay, and you were with TD?
No. So I didn't do a traditional plan. My dad did a group plan.
Okay.
So the way the group plan works is there's many agencies. The one I used was CST. I'm not recommending it. I'm just saying this is the one I used. But CST, Canadian Scholarship Trust Plan, the way it works there is there's all these different parents that have come there and they've opened their RESP. Basically, they pool all that money together and you have your segment within that pool. But the benefit with the pool is if people drop, let's say after 10 years, one parent says, I don't want to contribute anymore, or it happens that someone only has one kid, their kid never went to school, that money kind of accumulates in the pool, and there's a chance for you to get a little bit extra than what you actually put in.
Okay. Interesting.
So it kind of works like that. But obviously with those group plans, like other managed plans, there are fees involved.
Yeah.
So some are taken away in fees, and it may not be as transparent. Now, you can go with Questrade, you can go with TD, you can open an RESP, hold stocks, bonds, mutual funds, GICs, ETFs, and manage it like you would a stock portfolio. The only thing you can't do is options in that account. But you can manage it whichever way you like, and go from there. There's no set criteria saying you have to buy this mutual fund to get the grant. You'll get the grant either way, even if you just put cash in the account and just leave it there. You'll still get the grant.
My experience of taking the money out of my RSP was a bit different. It was more of the Wild West. Okay. Depending on who you spoke to, you had different rules and different conditions and different papers that you need to supply. Some of them you just needed to give them like your bill for the year, for the semester. Some you didn't. They said you could take out a max of $2,500. Some said you can take out as much as you want. Some said it could cover the cost of your books, your living expense, everything. Some said just for school and books. So I feel like the advisors that were pulling the money out didn't really they weren't all telling the same story.
I have heard similar too. So my friend, I think, did his with Scotia, and he was always telling me like, how come yours is so easy? I have to go to the bank and show them this receipt that I paid for my tuition, and they're only giving me, I don't know, $1,600 or $1,700, and there's money sitting in there that my dad put. So that...
But some years I was able to pull out extra. So I don't know, like it really depended on who
it does depend on for sure which institution you go to, for sure what your schooling is, and I do know the full-time, part-time status does have an effect.
No, but what I'm saying is some people allowed me to withdraw as much as I wanted, and some said, no, you need to prove...
From the same institution?
Yes. You need to show us your bill so we can give you that exact amount.
Well, based on our recent experience diddly-daddling between the banks, I don't see that as shocking.
As shocking. It's not shocking at all. Diddly-daddling, fiddly-faddling, whatever. The banks are...
You're always gonna get that pushback, I think. And it seems like every time you talk with one rep, they give you a little piece of information. You think you have the whole picture. Then you go talk to another one, and they give you a little other piece of the puzzle.
He's referring to a mortgage approval process for a partnership that isn't going as planned.
So, but it can happen to anyone, you know? So those are your options, really, when it comes to your RESP. Overall, though, we both had them. I would highly recommend having an RESP.
You get $7,200 from the government for free, minus tax if your child makes more than the minimum, like is
the basic
above
amount.
the minimum tax bracket,
which is about, I think, 11,000,
11 or 12, something like that,
somewhere around there. And chances are, if you're the parent that's gonna help your kids save or helps save for their schooling, this is the best platform to do it. Unless you're a master options trader and can double your returns very quickly, then by all means go for that. But this is the avenue to get free matching grants from the government. You defer all those taxes till you're 18 for your child, and you end up getting your principal back as well. So it's a good deal.
It's a good tool that's given to us by the government, just like the RRSP and the TFSA. And it's up to you guys to decide, well, am I going to have a child? I mean, it only comes in handy once you have one. Am I sure he's going to go to university or college? And do I want to put money aside for that? Or do I want to take money out of my TFSA when the time comes and forego the government grant, but not pay taxes when I withdraw the money? I would still suggest using the RESP because $7,200 is a lot of free money. But it's
and
really...
all the growth on that.
Yeah,
that you're missing out.
Exactly. But if, let's say, they invested in real estate and they wanted to sell something when to pay for their child's school, that's also very fine as well. But there's no free money. And we all love free money, especially when it comes from the government. It's like government free money, and then right under is bank free money.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Or maybe bank free money.
Bank free money.
Bank free money.
Bank free money. Because I think some people consider their tax refund like government free money, but they don't realize that it's actually their taxes.
Yeah,
coming
they've
back to
paid it
them.
already.
That's kind of like a lose because they pay you at the end, and you've been paying the whole year.
Yeah.
You lose out.
Oh, the
that
government
whole
knows
year.
though.
Oh yeah,
the government
of course.
knows.
Of course. And then there's those people that don't cash their check or forget that they have one, and that just sits in the void for ages, and the government loves that.
But they don't expire.
They don't expire, no.
No.
But some people think they do.
Maybe.
Know. Yeah.
Maybe.
Government checks don't expire, by the way. If anyone was wondering.
Yes.
If anyone's been sitting on a check from the 90s, go deposit it right away. They don't check. But I think that hits everything on the RESP. You have anything to add?
No, I mean, you can try to ask the advisor, well, how do I withdraw? What are the rules? But they may change, especially when your child ends up getting to that stage 15 years later.
And this grant option as well, the RESP, nothing is set in stone. It could change. I know before, for our taxes, we used to have tax credits for extracurriculars, for textbooks. There were added bonuses. There was added tax credits. There was a tax credit for public transit. And every budget that goes by, every federal budget, there are options to change this plan. So 5 years from now, there may not be a matching grant, but maybe if you already started it, they may grandfather whoever's already there.
I don't think they'll remove it for now. Like they haven't been talking about that, but it is possible.
But it is possible that the plan gets scrapped, or not many people are using it, and
or that they pay more money.
Or they pay more money for sure. That's all I have.
There we go. So thanks, guys, for tuning in. As usual, you can follow the podcast on SoundCloud, and you can also watch our lovely faces talk on YouTube, and subscribing definitely will help us. You can also go on Ali's infamous Instagram page, which he's still doing. There you go.
It's growing. It's coming up. And you can obviously email us at personalfinanceboss.com. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one.